From Chesapeake, Virginia, the Lighthouse 100.1 presents Sports Scene. Sports Scene features local, regional, and nationally acclaimed guests and excellent interviews. Follow Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Now here is Greg Bicouvaris.
Sports Scene presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com. Greg Bicouvaris along with Colleen. Glad you're with us. Sports Scene airs on the radio Saturday at 10 a.m. right here on WPMH and TuneIn.com at the same time by typing WPMH in the search bar. Tell your friends about Sports Scene. Twitter at Greg Bick, and you can see the rest of my Twitter handles on GJBTV.com in the contact section. Thank you to our military. Guest lineup presented by GJBTV.com. Phone line presented by Greg Bick on YouTube, GREGBIC. Subscribe, GJBTV.com. A lot going on right now. College football, the NFL, a lot on the horizon. Great interviews, excellent guests, business segments, highlights, commentary. What teased me off? Thank you for listening to Sports Scene. We love our regulars and tourists who listen online and on the radio. Stay tuned.
A tradition of excellence for over 50 years is the Aberdeen Barn in Virginia Beach. Start your experience off with their special she crab soup or an assortment of appetizers such as fried oysters Rockefeller. Aberdeen Barn has the finest premium steaks, prime rib, and their signature dish, stuffed flounder and jumbo fried shrimp, bacon-wrapped asparagus, and a Greek salad. Open daily. Visit them at 5805 Northampton Boulevard in Virginia Beach and like the Aberdeen Barn on Facebook. Call 464-1580 and log on to aberdeenbarn.net.
Just a reminder, folks, Sports Scene is taped right here at the studios of WPMH, and portions of this program are pre-recorded. Thank you for listening to Sports Scene on the radio and online.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Email bicogb@hotmail.com. Now back to Greg Bicouvaris in the HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com studios.
And welcome back to Sports Scene. Glad you're with us. Greg Bicouvaris for our interview program, taped 11 times a year right here at the studios of WPMH. Glad to be talking to Kraig from the Hampton Cup Regatta. Kraig Cole has been a guest of mine on radio and TV a lot over the years. Coming up in September. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. We really appreciate being back in. Really anxious to get back in the saddle after having to take a year off last year, but we're happy to be here.
How difficult was that?
It tore our heart out. I mean, I know like so many other people with the events around the country, around the local area. I mean, because we were ready to roll, and we were doing everything we could to meet the requirements that the government was putting out. And at the end of the day, there were just too much to come through to pull off the event, and we wanted to do a good event. And so we had to make that hard decision last year.
I mean, it's forever changed. Even this year will be changed. But at least hopefully you'll have the event. It'll go on. And then hopefully better things ahead in 22.
Absolutely. We always look forward to next race, that kind of thing. But right now we are planning full steam ahead, barring any requirements or shutdowns, keep fingers crossed. But we're looking for having a great event, September 25th and 26th, our race dates. And we'll have our kickoff party at Ouzelfinch on the 24th.
So let's talk about the event dates. Where exactly is it in Hampton? What time will it be?
The race course is on Mill Creek between Phoebus portion of Hampton and Fort Monroe. Those who are not familiar, if you take that first exit coming out of the tunnel from Norfolk, or the very last exit when you're heading toward Norfolk. And if you want to put in for Uber drop-off or pickups, you can put in 1091 East Mercury Boulevard. That will get you right there. But the bridge between Fort Monroe and Phoebus is our main spectator area. You do have a small area over on Fort Monroe to observe.
And you think about that spectator area, what a perfectly part of real estate on the peninsula in Hampton. You got water, you got convenience, it's easy to get to. There's not a lot of other roadways around it. Pretty much it's kind of like a little private oasis.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a protected body of water on three sides. We don't have any obstructed view from the bridge. The bridge is obviously elevated off the water surface. And it gives you just that awesome front straightaway. If you're familiar with NASCAR, that front straightaway, you've got that perfect view from the start-finish line from all the way around the course. You can see both ends, both turns, the back straightaway. It's just the perfect place to observe from.
We're talking to Kraig Cole from the Hampton Cup Regatta. Google Hampton Cup Regatta as well. And you talk about what a perfect little island that you have. I mean, it's got everything for the public for a weekend. It's got plenty of concessions. You got the beautiful scene of the water. You got Fort Monroe in the background. You're in Hampton. I mean, there's a lot for everyone.
Absolutely. We like to we bring different concessions out. We've got our Porta John facility. We've got our tent area for our sponsors, and we're always taking on new sponsors. Anybody who wants to join us, join the family, we'd love to have you. We have all the amenities you can think of. We'll have M Price out there providing adult beverages as well. Like some of the concessions with everything else from barbecue to hamburgers, hot dogs, anything you typically find at one of your standard outdoor events.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about what exactly is the Hampton Cup Regatta. How long has it been at that location?
We've been at that location since the early 60s. We started back in the Hampton Creek in 1926. So last year would have been our 95th uninterrupted year. So now we are saying this is our 95th running.
Right.
So, but we're a hydroplane powerboat race event. If someone's confused by the word regatta, we are not a sailboat event. We are raw engine power. Come out and smell the fumes and enjoy the noise of the engines and watch these guys scream across the water.
And folks, a lot of times if you haven't seen hydroplane racing, take a look at it on YouTube before you come out. It's really neat. And it's just, it's free.
Absolutely free. We were one of the last free hydroplane powerboat race events in the country. Other folks, they charge, a nominal fee. Some of them maybe a little bit more depending on what kind of show or the actual size of the event. But we are absolutely free to walk in. The only thing we do ask is that we have a list of can't bring in the gate, your typical things about bikes, skateboards, coolers. If you've got obviously got a small child, you've got a diaper bag, what have you. We always want to make concessions for those folks. But we do have all the amenities on the bridge to take care of any of your needs.
Right, and hopefully fans will be there. Of course, you talk about entertainment since early 2020. There hasn't been a whole lot. Concerts have been piecemeal. There have been some, public gatherings have been piecemeal as well. It's starting to get a little bit better. We'll see what happens in the fall. The Tides have played pretty much, but they were delayed the month of April. So people are clamoring for things to do together and outdoors.
Yeah, I know. Me personally, I love going outdoor music. Live music. So everyone we run into, you have the event. Are we racing this year? Yes, we are racing. And anybody who's listening who's concerned about the current situation, we've got plenty of room on that bridge to spread out. So anyone, you're welcome to bring your own chairs, umbrellas, pop-up tents. We do ask that you don't bring any red tents because that can get a little confusing from the visual signals for the drivers. But anybody, you can spread out as far as you need to down that bridge. Anyone who's familiar with it will know what I'm talking about. If not, just like I said, Google the Hampton Cup Regatta. You'll see different interviews we've had, other graphics on the website as well. We have all that available to you.
And you can type in Kraig Cole Sports Scene on YouTube and hear past shows as well. Our good friends at CP Shuckers, Matt and Mark, Chef Leon, the entire team, local tradition on Shore Drive, Pacific Avenue, delicious food, great appetizers, steak bites, sandwiches, burgers, specials, all the games on TV for the NFL and college football. Go by and see that great team, like them on Facebook, and Google CP Shuckers. Excellent location in Hampton Roads. And you talk about the Hampton Cup Regatta, what it means to the community as well.
Right. We've always considered ourselves, as well as the city council and city government, we are one of the premier events for the city. We're bringing in race teams from around the country and internationally as well. It's a family-friendly event on all sides, with the racers, with the folks that are coming out to spectating, to our committee that puts it on. We have multi-generational members on our committee that it's in their blood, and they love seeing it come together. And for me personally, I've been part of this event since 2000, and it just means a whole lot to be part of something more than yourself, bigger than yourself. And this certainly brings that to the table.
Right. There's just so much fun out there. It's just a great weekend. And I love the water. I could just sit there and watch it all day. I was going to ask you, have you ever had a fan over the years that's been there from the start on Saturday to the end on Saturday and the start on Sunday to the end on Sunday?
Absolutely. We've got some folks that are just hardcore. Some of them have been out there longer than I have. And you can tell a lot of times by their T-shirt that we do a collectible T-shirt every year, and I'll see ones out there, the 68th anniversary or 68th run of the Hampton Cup Regatta, and I started to have to do the math to count back how far that goes. So those are folks that have been out there. We've seen people come out there. A young couple come out. Next year they might be expecting. The next year they're pushing a baby stroller. Next time here come the toddlers, to their younger children, to their grown up, and now they're bringing their own. I mean, we've seen that go on.
Now, you've had men and women both out there racing. Do you have kids out there too?
Yeah, absolutely. We had APBA has a class of race boats called the J Stocks. We won't see them this year for different reasons, but you can actually get in a full bore hydroplane race boat, a T-boat, at age 14, and we've got them out there. Again, multi-generational families in the racing circuit. We've got one a racing family out, the Liddycoats out of Chesapeake. His dad and got him and his brother into racing. Now his son is now racing. So we're tickled to death to see that. And just what we would love to see is a father-son competition down the road. Sure. And we do have seen that over the years. And we've got other racing families from up and down the East Coast, brothers and sisters and cousins, and again, parents. I mean, it's like I can't emphasize that enough, that this is a family-type sport.
Absolutely. I was riding my bike as a paper boy when I was 14, let alone doing that.
I was cutting grass.
Right. I was doing that too, trying to. Kraig Cole. How do you spell your name, Kraig?
It's Kraig, Kraig, Cole, Cole.
So you can just type that in YouTube and hit Sports Scene to get archived interviews talking to Kraig Cole. And you talk about the event. It takes a lot of planning for this. It's not something that's just done, y'all talk about it in June and get it rolling. Over the years, we've done advertising, marketing, promoting it, scaled down a little bit this year, but still you want the event to go as planned, and it still takes a village to make it work.
Absolutely. We've got a whole host of volunteers on our committee. Some have just joined us this year. Some joined, the years past, or one like myself, back, going back 20 years or so. Some have been on there for 35 or even 40 years on the committee. But it does take planning. Right after the event, we call a hot wash. What went right? What went wrong? We try to learn for every year what's going right, what's going wrong. A lot of the event these days, what we call turnkey, what I call turnkey, and I'm very proud of that, because we know what it takes to put on this successful event and put on the show that we want to put on, because we are showing off our hometown when these folks are coming from out of town, out of state, out of the country.
Right. And you talk about what I hear a lot is the people that like events in moderation. You're an event, like the Kings Mill Golf Tournament's an event. They had it this year. They did not have it in 2020, where, people want to go out and see Langley, but sometimes they don't want to go but maybe once or twice a year. Tides games on the peninsula, maybe 2 or 3 times a year. You're once a year. You can't say it's overkill, because it's something you can look forward to.
Right. I mean, we have one shot to get this right, so we want to make sure we've got everything in lockstep. Do we have our power? Do we have our tent setups? Do we have our permitting going? Have we communicated out to the race teams and the racing community? Have we promoted it like this interview here? Have we promoted as much as we can? And I can say with full confidence that we have.
Yeah, you definitely have. And, of course, we talk about so much going on for that one weekend. Really, it just takes a lot of different teams and parties and so forth. How do you get racers? We have a sanction. We put out through APBA. That's our sanctioning body, American Powerboat Association. And they disperse that out through their website, as well as direct mailing to all the rest of different race teams. And quite frankly, and I'm proud of this, the teams that come to us year after year, they look forward to coming to Hampton. We've had more than one occasion, some racers tell us we can only go to 3 or 4 events this year for whatever reason. Hampton is always at the top of that list. And when we hear them say that, man, I get choked up, because you're talking about my hometown. We've done something right enough for you to look forward to that. And they tell their friends. And it's the old Perel commercial. You tell someone, and they tell someone, and they tell someone. And that's how we get them in there. And really, Hampton's got a lot over the years. I mean, you talk about Langley Speedway. You talk about the pilots. You talk about your event. You talk about the Hampton Coliseum, and of course they're trying to, revitalize Phoebus and downtown Hampton. Hampton's got a lot going on. Now, of course, we want people from the peninsula and the south side both to be here, but you cater to people all over the state and all over the mid-Atlantic and the country.
Absolutely. Like I said, those racers carry our banner, so to speak, out there and talk about it. And we push that out through our social media. And that was one thing I really learned in the last year or so with our folks that manage that side. They have the analytics that they pull back in, and you can see where people are visiting the website, visiting Facebook, and Instagram. And when I say it's international, I'm not exaggerating. I mean, France, even in Russia, for whatever reason, they want to check out racing, and they come and look at us. And we look forward to hopefully somebody will make the next step and get on a plane, get in the car, and come down and see us.
All right, it's free. Give us the weekend and where it's at.
Our kickoff party is at Ouzelfinch Craft Brewery over on Fort Monroe. That's the 24th, Friday night. That kicks off at 6 o'clock with a Jason Cale band. We always want to bring music in, you know me.
Yeah.
Our race dates are the 25th and the 26th of September, Saturday and Sunday. The gates will open up approximately 10 a.m., and we're going to get racing around 11 a.m. because we are title based on the tides. And high tide on Saturday is at about 12:37, and on Sunday it's around 1:14. So
okay.
we're going to center around that, and that's when we run the big boys. So anybody who's interested in come out and see the big boys, that we'll be running them early because of the tide.
All right, stay tuned for part 2 of our interview on Sports Scene after this.
Sports Scene, Hampton Road's premier interview show with Kraig Bicouvaris, each Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11.
And you look at that, 4-4 at home, which is just average, 4-3-1 on the road. You're not going to win any games like that. They were not the same team after they beat the Packers, yet the Packers were a totally different team.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter @GregBick and listen weekly as Kraig interviews distinguished guests with excellent commentary and insight. Sports Scene, Saturdays at 10 a.m. on the Lighthouse 100.1 FM.
Just a reminder, folks, Sports Scene is taped right here at the studios of WPMH, and portions of this program are pre-recorded. Thank you for listening to Sports Scene on the radio and online. Welcome back to part 2 of our interview with Kraig Cole from the Hampton Cup Regatta. We do this every year right here on WPMH several times a year. Over the years on radio and TV, and always good to work with Kraig. This is Kraig Bicouvaris @KraigBic on YouTube, GREGBIC @KraigBic on Twitter. Go ahead and plug your social media. You have a big Facebook presence.
Yeah, we're Hampton Cup Regatta on Facebook and also on Instagram, and then HamptonCupRegatta.com is our website.
This is going to be a big question, and I'm glad we're bringing it up. Baseball games get rained out. Langley Speedway has been rained out a lot. You guys are on the water. It's not cold. Does rain affect you?
Only if there's an absolute complete washout all day. Mm-hmm. We if we need to do a rain delay based on incoming fronts or that kind of thing, we will do a delay. But that has never happened in 95 years.
Right.
We've had a little delay. We might have to take a break halfway through or what have you. And actually moving the event to September, because we used to be in August, has actually helped a lot with that threat. Because we had a couple, cloud bursts on us when we were in August, but now being back and now moving to September, there's been like almost zero chance of that happening. And the one thing, even if it does rain, unlike a regular racetrack with cars, we don't have to dry a track. Our course is water already, so we look at it as a rainstorm as resurfacing.
Yeah.
So as soon as that thing stops, and the wind is actually what's more of a danger to us than the actual rain.
Right.
Because with the hydroplanes, if you're when you got that pocket you're riding on, if it's choppy, if the wind's up, then that's more of a danger for the racers. And we always absolutely pride ourselves also in operating a very safe event.
Absolutely, and it's a 2-day event, so you always have Sunday to fall back on.
If we needed to, we could always pack in any heats that we may have lost on Saturday. But yeah, and in the years past, I'm not going to lie, it's not like that has happened time to time. Again, because you only got so much daylight. So
especially that time of the year.
Yeah, and we have raced up to sunset before. I distinctly remember being out there.
Yeah. Now, luckily, the clocks don't fall back till later in the fall, but already we're seeing it now, starting to get dark a little bit earlier. And while we're recording the show, talking to Kraig Cole from the Hampton Cup Regatta. Greg Bicouvaris, glad you're with us for Sports Scene right here. TuneIn.com. Type in WPMH in the search bar. You take this event personal. You're from Hampton. Your board has to make decisions for the good of the order, for the entire city, and for the event. Sometimes people can butt heads. Have you all been civil for the most part and gotten along? Because I've been on boards where people just want to hear themselves talk and, give their opinion. Sometimes you have to put all that aside and put the egos aside and just get along for the event.
That's a very good way to put it. Butting heads during our planning is virtually non-existent because we all recognize our areas that we're responsible for. Sometimes in the heat of the moment during race weekend, when something hasn't gone quite right or whatever, and we're trying to make a decision, whatever, and especially if it was back in August and it's hot, timbers may have flare here or there. But at the end of the day, we all know while we're out there. And I can't say that anybody's walked away saying, I'm out, because of whatever. No, I've never seen that happen myself.
And I helped do marketing for the last 15 years for the Newport News Creek Festival. And during event weekend, it's very difficult. But I have to realize that there are people that might have been neighbors that want to see me or talk to me that I got to take a minute and say hello, because sometimes y'all are pulled in a million different directions. That's a lot of space to cover, Kraig. And you got somebody from high school that says, Kraig, remember me? And you're like, oh my God, I've got to be over there.
Yeah,
how do you handle that?
It has happened. I have. Usually I realize it maybe a week or so after the event, and somebody says, man, I yelled at you, and you didn't even look at, and because usually if during race weekend, because my responsibility area is the bridge and spectator areas, and there's a bunch of different fastest things. I think you've walked up to me before. During race weekend,
it's tough to chit chat. Then
it is. I try to make sure I take time to at least walk by. If I see someone, unless I'm at the hot moment where I got to go take care of something, I try to take at least a few minutes. Hey, glad to see you. I hope you're having a good time. That kind of thing. But I have had people come up to me a week or so later and say, "Hey, I hollered to you," and it's like, "Well, man, if I looked like I was concentrating on something or whatever, because I was. I mean, my mind's already somewhere else, and to take care of the problem that may have popped up."
And speak about that. That's a lot of space from the parking all the way to the end on that ramp and the pier to cover, from concessions to the racers to the spectators to the fans to the different vendors and booths out there. You guys have really got to multitask.
Well, absolutely, and that's why, again, the folks on our committee, and I can't stress that enough, it is a committee. It is a team of people that have their own areas that they're responsible for, and we all interact and we all try to help each other and pull together. But that's one thing that we're able to divide and conquer as we're planning and setting things up. And then when we're in full bore executing the event, if something pops up, we're all of the mindset, if you see something and you know how to handle it, handle it. If you need to bring it to someone else's attention, make sure that person's aware of it so they can address it. But we do try to make sure we divide and conquer with that. And, as you walk across the bridge, you think about, okay, we've got a vendor area, then we've got a sponsors area, then we've got a concessions area, then we got more spectators, and all through that. And then we got our car show at the other end with our children's area. You have sections you can divide up and execute.
And you have to be careful. You do have police. You do have the rescue squad out there. People might get a little bit too friendly with the beverage there, and that's what they're there for. Yeah,
we do have a few officers that are out there for public safety, and that's why I want to stress that it's for public safety. I know some folks are, why do you have all the police out here? It's like we keep it there. The city requires us to have that for any event for public safety. We've got the fire department and EMTs on standby in case something happens. And unfortunately, you get that many people out there, things happen. Sometimes it's unrelated to the event at all. Someone's had a diabetic situation one time before. They weren't watching their numbers. I mean, it had nothing to do with the event, but luckily somebody recognized it. We called the EMTs over, and they took care of the person.
You're right, because whenever you're out of your comfort zone from your home, most people's comfort zone is home. When you go to an event, when you go to a dinner with your girlfriend, maybe an hour or two, when you're out somewhere 8 to 10 hours, it's a whole lifestyle for that weekend.
It is. You're especially when you're coming in. If you're hardcore and you get there at 10 a.m., those gates open, and you're there till the end of the event, 4 or 5 o'clock. You've got to have at least yourself prepared what you want. Do you have a chair? Do you have an umbrella?
Towel?
Towel. Do you have enough cash? We do have an ATM on site.
Yeah.
So, do you have money to go to the concessions with or whatnot? Do you have a plan? Mm-hmm. And that's what I stress people. Again, with the folks coming in, check that website. Check our do's and don'ts. The biggest do is come have a good time.
Right.
But make sure we're checking for safety, that kind of thing. Do you have your needs addressed? I mentioned the diabetic situation before. Just make sure we're there to help too, but it all starts at home, so to speak.
Yeah, you got to bring your medications, folks. Never neglect that when you're out all day talking to Kraig, Cole, Hampton, Cup-Regatta, our good friends at Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville. Go by and see Mike and the friendly staff. One of the best Outbacks in the state. Spacious, nice dining area, bar, lunch and dinner daily, burgers, steaks, soups, salads, appetizers, pasta, chicken, all the favorites right there. Open 7 days a week, lunch and dinner. Go by at 1255 Fordham Drive in Virginia Beach off the Indian River Road exit. Phone number is 523-4832. Lunch and dinner, Outback Steakhouse in Kempsville. Yeah, I mean, so it's definitely when it's a weekend event, it really is a true weekend event. I mean, it's all inclusive. You've got stuff. Now, we're starting to live in a more cashless society, but there are people that still prefer cash. Do you take cash and credit card as far as concessions? How does that work?
Concessions are all set up for cash or card. In fact, I think most of them nowadays do prefer the card. The beer tents will be cash. We're not set up to take that for cards there, so that's why we do have the ATM on site. But and over at Ouzelfinch, I believe they are cashless as well.
Right. So, like you said, be prepared. Like when you're a Boy Scout, you're prepared. And chairs, your hats, sunscreen. I mean, that's what they got bags for. Just pack everything because you're probably not living near the area, so unless you're living in Phoebus or Kecoughtan area or Big Bethel, somewhere like that. But people come from both sides of the water, especially on Saturday and Sunday. And some people travel from farther away.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, like I mentioned before, they come from out of state, out of the country in some respects. But whenever you do come down, we do have parking over on North Curry Street. There's a parking field there. Public streets are always open, as well as over Fort Monroe. And if you park over Fort Monroe, I do stress, please observe the markings for those parking areas, because a lot of those parking areas are for the residents. Because Fort Monroe, anyone who's listening who doesn't know, if you're out of the area, is no longer an active Army base, and those residential areas are truly like anybody else's neighborhood.
Yeah, you got to respect people's property and so forth. And how does the event grow? How does it evolve? How does it get bigger? You've done it for over 90 years.
I would love to have this thing grow every year. Frankly, we've been maintaining with a 75 to 80 boat count each year. And boat racing, this level of boat racing is kind of like your guys at Langley Speedway. You got the folks that are out there running it because they love it. They're not out there for they're not there getting national sponsor money and that kind of thing. So it's all in the interest on both sides. If the racers see the spectators coming, they want to keep racing. The spectators want to see more racers out there. So it's a symbiotic relationship to come bring them out there.
This is an interview show, so I'm going to ask, because there are people who are going to ask, what type of body of water is that? Is it a lake, river, or ocean? And would this ever able to happen, let's say, at Buckrow Beach or Virginia Beach, or let's say for those listening out of town, definitely not Nag's Head, but obviously it's a Hampton event. So let's say, could this ever be done, the races at Buckrow?
I would say no, because that's open water out there on the bay. The Mill Creek is, if you look at it on the map, is protected on three sides and then semi-protected by the bridge itself. It gives you that perfect scenario. If you go and look at any of the races around the country, you're talking about their own lakes, their own a wide bend in a river, and that kind of thing. Just open water like that is not conducive for these racers. You do have other racers in APBA that you're like your offshore drag races and stuff like that, but those are the really big cigarette type boats. Our class of boats are mainly three. You got your flat bottoms, you got your skiffs, and then you got your true hydros. And you will see different levels of racing with all three of those. Your regular skiffs are more your V-bottom boat. They actually have two riders, a driver and a riding mechanic, as a throwback to the old rum runner days. Those bounce around. Those are the guys I like watching, because when they come around the curve, they're near about 90 degrees on plane when they come around those curves. I swear, I think they're going to flip over, but I've never seen one flip.
And people that like to fish, they can't fish there that weekend, right?
No fishing, no crabbing, no paddle boats, no kayaks, no oystermen, all that. We actually, our Coast Guard permits, we actually technically own that water for that weekend. Yeah,
because that's primarily what it's known for, right? People like to fish there.
You know? Oh yeah. You go out there any day during any other weekend, you'll see windsurfers, you'll see kayakers, paddle boaters, all that stuff.
But not from that weekend on.
Not from our weekend. Not for our weekend.
Usually that starts around Friday and ends around Monday, right? Technically, I mean,
we own the water through Sunday night. We won't have our boats out on the water on Monday.
No jurisdiction on Monday. Okay,
yes.
Very good. All right, well, give us the dates and the website and all the good stuff.
All right, we'll run through the full gambit. Our social media is on Facebook and Instagram with Hampton Cup Regatta. Our website is hamptoncupregatta.com. Our dates: we've got a kickoff party at Ouzel Finch over on Fort Monroe. And at 6 o'clock, at 6 to 9, we'll have the Jason Cale band playing. He's a really good funk blues kind of band. Mm-hmm. Anybody local will recognize the name. And then our race dates are the 25th and 26th of September. Gates open at 10 a.m., and then we'll hopefully get racing around 11, and we'll put on a great show.
Leave us with a parting thought.
Come out and just have a good time. We had a really rough year last year. First part of this year, too. I know there's a lot of people who have been directly affected to varying degrees. And we all need to decompress a little bit and just come out and have a good time and have the camaraderie of something that you can just go out and watch and have a good time with.
Very good. Yeah, we all need to have fun and take away from the day-to-day stress of life in our personal and our business lives both. Kraig, all the best to you and the Hampton Cup Regatta team.
Thank you so much, Greg. Over the years, we really appreciate you having us on the show, and anyone listening, we'd love to have you come out.
Very good. Hampton Cup Regatta, it's truly a peninsula event, but with a nationwide flair. Stay tuned for more Sports Scene after this.
A tradition of excellence for over 50 years is the Aberdeen Barn in Virginia Beach. Start your experience off with their special she crab soup or an assortment of appetizers such as fried oysters Rockefeller. Aberdeen Barn has the finest premium steaks, prime rib, and their signature dish, stuffed flounder and jumbo fried shrimp, bacon-wrapped asparagus, and a Greek salad. Open daily. Visit them at 5805 Northampton Boulevard in Virginia Beach and like the Aberdeen Barn on Facebook. Call 464-1580 and log on to aberdeenbarn.net.
Catch up on archived editions of Sports Scene by going to gjbtv.com and clicking the YouTube image on the homepage. Now back to Sports Scene with Greg Bicouvaris. It's now time for Greg's Highlights, presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
Highlights, gjbtv.com, hrsmhof.com, HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com, and of course, Google WPMH on the website. gjbtv.com for archive shows. Click the YouTube link right there on the homepage for archived audio and video, and of course, Sports Scene. Question of the day to our esteemed producer and general manager, Colleen. Colleen, how do you like Virginia compared to other places you've lived around the country?
Well, I've lived in a lot of places because my dad was in the Air Force, but I've been here in Virginia for the longest. I've been here now over 20 years, and this is where I met and married my husband, and we had our daughter. So Virginia means a lot to me, of course, and just it's a good climate. I think, it's not too hot, not too cold. We enjoy it here. Lots of things to do.
I'm a creature of habit. I've spent time in New York, but I love Virginia. Will always call Virginia home. Born and raised in Newport News. Sports Scene will continue after these messages.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter at Greg Bick. Email bicogb@hotmail.com. Now back to Greg Bicouvaris in the Hampton Roads OnlineMall.com studios.
And welcome back to Sports Scene. It's a pleasure to welcome back. It's been a while. Gina Ippolito from Smithfield VA Events. Gina, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing better these days, Greg. How about you?
Very good, one day at a time. And, of course, I know there was no event in 2020, but 21 is here. You're outdoors. You're in a safe environment. Let's talk about what's going on in October and talk about the dates and everything else.
Yes, we are, at this point in time, moving forward with hopefully still being able to have our Bacon and Bourbon Music Festival. So, we did have to cancel this event last year in 2020, so it's been since 2019, so everyone is excited to get back to getting their bacon and their bourbon, and it's October 2nd, 2021 is our date, so we are looking forward to it and making plans, and we are 100% sold out. So that's kind of crazy.
That really is nice, too. And people are looking for things to do. That's a perfect weekend.
It is. It's the first Saturday in October. Hopefully it's not too hot. It's going to be great weather. And hopefully after all of the craziness after this last year and a half, going on almost 2 years, we'll get a break and it'll just be a great event. So we're hoping that everything holds out for outdoor events. And we're just taking it a day, like you said, a day at a time and a week at a time. So we're looking forward to it. We're gearing up for it. We've got our volunteers coming back. We hold these events for charitable purposes, and we have benefiting organizations that receive the proceeds along with groups who come out and volunteer. We work with about 60 organizations, which, of course, for the last year and a half, have not been able to generate the funds because we haven't been holding events that they normally do. So everyone is super excited about coming back and getting back in the swing of things.
Very nice. Let's talk to the newbies out there that have never been, what type of venue it is, where it's located at, and it really does benefit the entire community.
Oh, it does. We are fortunate enough in downtown Smithfield, we have a park called Windsor Castle Park. And the park itself is 208 acres. Of that, about 46 of it is a historic easement with original manor house from the 1700s and some barns that were built in the late 1700s, 1800s that actually now have been fully restored. And it is an event venue in itself now that the town has got that restored. So we hold our events on this historic easement. It's kind of cool because of the way it's laid out. We've got some kind of different communities inside of our event. So, for example, this event is about bacon and bourbon, and it's also about beer. But, like, between our historic barns is our bourbon bacon village. And so we have our bourbon tent set up we'll have over somewhere about 70 bourbons for people to taste. And then you can also pick up your half a pound of bacon and take it through. If you choose to, you can just eat it hot off the grill, or you can take it through the bacon bar and dress it up a little bit with some toppings if you want. Then behind the barns, in what used to be a field, like a crop field, behind the barns of this plantation is our beer village. And so we will have 11 Virginia breweries out here with beers, and so they're set up in their tents, and you with your tickets you get beer tastings as well. And so there's a big stage set up over there in the beer village, and so you've kind of got this big open field that's kind of hip and hopping in with the beers. You've got the bourbon village. We also put up another large stage that's down the sloping hill to the river that we call the amphitheater area. So it's a large stage. It's a nice natural amphitheater. There's a hillside. There's trees that provide some shade, and 2019 was actually the first year we used that portion. It was part of the restoration project being cleared out. So it's really added a nice component to our event with the shade. And then we have our Manor House lawn community, which is actually on the lawn of this 1700s manor house. It has music, but it's like one or two guys playing on the porch. And there's like 4 chalets set up over there and a handful of tables. So it's kind of a quieter, reserved area. It is closest to the bourbon tent, so some people like to be over there for that. And other people like to be near the big stages and listen to the bands that are, of course, larger bands down on the stages. And some people like to be in the beer village, and some people like to be down by the river. So even though it's one event, there's many different kind of cool parts of it that add to the boutiqueness of what we do here. And we are just so fortunate to have this park right in the heart of downtown Smithfield.
Yeah, and really there's also other food items, too, that vendors will be selling food and beverages as well. How about entertainment like music?
Yes, we've got music, and you're going to have to give me a second because I can't rattle them off, and I should have pulled up the website first. But let's talk about the food vendors.
Sure.
I can do that from the top of my head. So, yes, I mean, you do get the bacon, and you do get the trip through the bacon condiment bar, but you also have Q Daddy's Pitmaster Barbecue, which is a locally owned barbecue place here in Smithfield. They are getting ready to open their second location in Wakefield. here like any week now. So they are bringing out their food truck and serving their stuff, and then our great folks at our VFW Post 8545 also do food vending. So they will be out here as well. So if you need some more food after your bacon, you're welcome to stop by either one of those. And we've got great entertainment this year. We've got on the amphitheater stage, we've got Brass Winds, which is just an amazing band. We did a small little concert event back in June when you first could, kind of like a pod concert type thing. They came out and played, but they've got a lot of horns. They play a lot of Motown, Michael Jackson, Earth, Wind, and Fire. They're just awesome. They put on a show. I mean, it's just amazing. And then we've got the Carolina Soul Band is closing out the amphitheater stage. And on the Brew Village stage, we've got Bobby Blackhat's Blues Band and Soul Intent. And then on the Manor House Lawn stage, which again is not a large band, the first entertainer is Troy Breslow. And then we've got, coming back again, we just love it when he comes out to our events, we've got Louis McGee playing that stage as well. So that's our entertainment. We've got Emerson Cigars out here. We've got a new, with the restoration project, the yard of the Manor House is all cleaned up and ready for rentals like weddings and retirement parties and whatnot. So the backyard of the Manor House is really nice. So Emerson Cigars will be set up over there, and we've kind of expanded our cigar courtyard. So if you're into having some cigars with your bourbon, they'll be out here with some nice selections for you to choose from. So we're gearing up and getting ready.
Very nice, and the public is looking forward to this. It's something to do. Usually October's got great weather. They didn't have the event last year. Things are starting to get back to normal. Of course, people are still being safe and careful with COVID protocol. Talk about all the different protocols in place as far as that is concerned, and also talk about parking and everything else.
So as far as COVID protocols, I mean, I think forever you will see events just, in general, being more sanitary. We've got more hand washing stations. We've got hand sanitizer everywhere. In fact, Riverside Health Systems is sponsoring our hand sanitizers this year for this event. So there's lots of that going on. We've got, of course, we will be following any federal, local, state, restrictions that are in place for outdoor events at the time, it happens. There's no point even guessing with what those may or may not be. But so we've got that kind of stuff. We also have, we use them at our concert event. We've made some kind of clear barriers, like between some of our volunteer stations and the public, like as far as kind of like when you go to Rite Aid, they've got the plexiglass up and you kind of do your transactions underneath the opening. So we have some of those that will be up in some of our booths just to do some separation between our volunteers. Everyone, of course, is welcome to wear a mask. I don't know what the mandate will be for outdoor events, by October. But so we've got that, and we've got, a COVID a COVID sanitation team that, is wiping down surfaces and things a lot more frequently than you used to see, 2 years ago. So we've got that kind of stuff in place. Parking for our event, we've got plenty of parking. It's all on site. There's VIP parking for the chalets. When you come in, you enter through the Cedar Street direction to get to the park. And again, our VFW and our junior ROTC from the high school come out and man our parking lots and direct you where to go. But there's lots of it. We have handicap parking as well. We've also got golf carts that traverse back and forth between the parking area and the gate if somebody needs a little bit of assistance. We've got some great entertaining golf cart drivers that have been with us for many years that enjoy bringing the fest attendees up to the gate and then, of course, helping them get back to their cars afterwards if they need a little bit of help. So, yeah, we're looking forward to it. The main gate opens at noon for general admission tickets. VIPs and sponsors get in starting at 11. We also sold, and we've done this for a few years, we pre-sale what we call early bird individual tickets. And they cost more than the general admission tickets, but those folks also get in at 11. People like to get into this event early because if they're truly into bourbons, they're trying to get their hands on some of those bourbon tastings for the things that are a little bit harder to get and things that you might not have on your shelf. So So some folks are willing to pay a little bit more for their ticket and come in early. The portion of their tickets that is above the cost of the regular ticket is a charitable donation. So some of them are just wanting to help out our volunteer groups and our benefiting organizations a little bit more. So yeah. But, we normally sell out all of our events prior, weeks before the event, but we have never sold this event out as early as we did this time. So I think people are ready to come back.
Yeah, give us the dates once again and all the good social media stuff.
So the date for Bacon Bourbon Music Fest is October 2nd. It's held at Windsor Castle Park in downtown Smithfield. Our website with all the info is smithfieldvaevents.com, and there is a tab at the top for festivals, and then there's a drop-down with the Bacon Bourbon Fest. So there's all the frequently asked questions are there. You can find the entertainment. Eventually we will have the bourbon stations posted on there and which beers are coming from which breweries. All of that should be updated in the next couple of weeks on the website. So by the 1st of September, information should be totally complete as far as those kind of details. All the general stuff is still on there. So, yeah, we are super excited. We have a Facebook page, which is Smithfield VA Events, and then there is an event page created that's the Bacon and Bourbon Festival. So you can pay attention to both of those and check the website closer to the event to see if there's any changes with COVID protocols or that kind of information as well. So all of our events are 21 and up, including our designated driver tickets. You still have to be 21. So but we're looking forward to it.
Yes, absolutely. Gina, thank you. Thank you for your time, your talent, your treasure. And, of course, people are excited. It was not happening last year because of COVID, but this year it's back, and it's really better than ever. So, Gina, all the best, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Greg. You have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Gina. Sports Scene will continue after these messages.
Sports Scene, Hampton Road's premier interview show with Greg Bicouvaris, each Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11.
And you look at that, 4-4 at home, which is just average, 4-3-1 on the road. I mean, you're not going to win any games like that. They were not the same team after they beat the Packers, yet the Packers were a totally different team.
Interact with Sports Scene on Twitter @GregBic and listen weekly as Greg interviews distinguished guests with excellent commentary and insight. Sports Scene, Saturdays at 10 a.m. on the Lighthouse 100.1 FM. What tees you off? Presented by HamptonRoadsOnlineMall.com.
All right, what teased me off? Always a great segment right here on Sports Scene. We look forward to it. Colleen, we always talk about the weather, but this has been a very hot summer.
Oh, extremely. It's been hard to do anything outside because it's so warm.
And I love to hike and walk, and folks, always be careful about ticks and thorns in the woods that I should know. But mosquito bites seem like they're really popping up lately.
Oh, that's horrible. That's why we don't even like to go outside sometimes because of all the bugs.
I think we can all relate to this. Too many chefs in the kitchen, and of course, meeting too many bosses and too many opinions. A lot of times when you have 2 or 3 owners or 2 or 3 managers, they all have their opinion, and usually they're type A personalities. Sometimes that can really become a crossroad.
Hard to get some things done, but it's good to have differing opinions because then somebody sees a different perspective than you might have as well.
Right. Running into people in public, you prefer not to see.
I will have to admit, occasionally I have seen someone that I didn't want to run into, and so I will turn the other way.
Yep, I did not turn the other way a few weeks ago. All right, this is what drives me crazy. You buy nice shorts and pants in the summer or whatever, and then the elastic just goes bad. There's nothing worse than elastic going bad.
That's true. It gets all ruined and everything like that and stretches out, and then they're no good anymore.
You really can't keep them after that.
No.
All right, and one more further thing. We can all relate to this during the summer, year-round. You wear a nice white shirt, and what happens? You get stains, and everybody's got different opinions, Colleen, how to get rid of stains. Hydrogen peroxide, put a little vinegar, alcohol, great detergent pods. What are your thoughts about stains? I know you've dealt with them your entire life.
You have, and you try to get them out, and sometimes it's just not even worth it. Sometimes you just have to say, okay, that shirt's not going to be able to be worn again unless you can put maybe a sweater or something like that over top of it.
Right. Now, if a shirt's 10 or 11 years old and it's got a few stains, you expect that's 10 or 11 years old.
Yeah.
When you get a nice white shirt,
Oh, it's horrible.
it's done. All right, Sports Scene will continue after this. On the next edition of Sports Scene, we'll be talking football, and more football right here on WPMH. Stay tuned. And welcome back to Sports Scene, talking to our monthly featured guest, George McClain. George, good to talk to you again.
Same here, Greg. I hope you've had a good summer so far.
Very good as we're approaching September here. And George, let's talk about the Marksman Firearms Training Center and Indoor Shooting Range for our public and talk about the hours and what's going on lately.
Well, we're still trying to stay recovered or getting recovered from the COVID stuff. It's starting to pick up some. We're starting to get some ammo. It's not back to the pre-COVID deliveries yet, but hopefully within too long it will be. So we got our fingers crossed.
The Marksman is at 520 Industrial Park Drive in Newport News. The phone number is 872-4130. Area code 757, of course. A great Facebook page. Talk about Military Mondays and First Responder Fridays. I guess they've been evolving in their own right during the summer.
Well, yeah. We've been on a reservation system for quite a while, so we just have now gotten to the point that we're open. We'll back to taking walk-ins again, and so the Military Mondays, they're getting 20% discount off the daily rate, and same with our First Responder Fridays. So we ask all of them to check us out. Stop in and try to take advantage of that.
Talk about the range there, George, for somebody that's never experienced the range.
Well, it's 8 lanes, and it's I'll say it's pretty much handguns only, but we do allow long gun 22 and 223, 5.56 if you're using our frangible ammo. That ammo's too hot to use on the range without being frangible, and so we do the frangible where we've tested it. So you can't just bring your own ammo in, and this way we know that it is frangible and it's not gonna hurt the backstop. So when you come in, just walk in the door and you go to the right, and you'll see our tables and everything, and just do the paperwork for the liability statement and let them know what you want to shoot, and you'll take care of it and get you on the range.
Very nice, very nice. How about somebody who's never experienced operating a gun before? You always hear people like, I want to shoot a shotgun, I want to do a rifle, or a handgun. What do you recommend for the brand new beginner?
Well, again, the big difference between your handgun and your long gun. So, we are doing our one-on-one instruction, so you can sign up for a class with an instructor. And do that. Typically, we don't allow shotguns on the range without an instructor. So, but if someone wants to take a lesson with the shotgun with the instructor, we do that. So, and that's it's a good way to start. I would probably say most folks are going to start out with with the handgun, and we start out with safety, and then the operation of the firearm. And you could actually spend some time. We have a firearm training simulator. You could spend time on the simulator before you actually go in on the range. So it's several different ways we can go with that, depending on the customer's wishes.
Yeah, and of course there's nothing missing either. I mean, there's always a lot of facts, a lot of detail. It's an honor to carry a gun and to be properly trained. Just because you have one doesn't mean you can use it. And George has always stressed that over the years, that you should never really use it unless your life is really, really in danger. And then you shouldn't even think about it twice. But a lot of times people don't do that. It gets in the wrong hands. It's misused. And then one thing about the Marksman is you properly train everyone.
Well, that's right. I mean, it's if you don't have the training, sooner or later, there's enough people. Someone's going to mess up, and we usually wind up, hearing about it or reading about them. You're seeing it, on social media where someone has gotten hurt or gotten themselves arrested. So that's the biggest thing. Our goal with the training is safety and to keep folks out of trouble. And best way to do that is to know the laws and be proficient with your handgun.
We're talking to George McClain from the Marksman and Newport News, conveniently located to everyone on the peninsula and not far from the South Side either, or Richmond either, and talking to George McClain. And one thing, too, George works a lot with the police officers, and they're properly trained. The state police go to academies. The local police have to go to training as well, and they're taught how to use a gun if they haven't used a gun before. So it's not something like walking into the dollar store and just buying a piece of candy and walking out. It does take a lot of before and after, and a lot of times these men and women are doing training on their own so that when they go to class, they'll be more prepared.
Well, that's right. I mean, their lives depend on that. Their job depends on it, and usually if it's something that you're doing for your livelihood, that shows that you have a little bit more of an interest in the regular Joe that's out there. So these guys do take it seriously, and so we need to be serious with them as well. And we get a lot will come in and use a range from time to time, and they do that just to stay proficient, and that's a good idea for everybody to do.
Talking to George McClain, and they've got a wonderful showroom there in the front, in the lobby there, and of course the range as well. And George, talk about your staffing right now. How is staffing? And I guess they're prepared for anything, but at the same time, walking through the front door has not been easy in 20 or 21. And of course, they need to show respect to the staff because a lot of times they're multitasking with a lot of different things. Well,
yeah, most everybody is these days for one reason or another, be it COVID or whatever else. But we're right now, we're staffed appropriately. It does not mean that we can wait on 6 or 7 people and answer everyone's phone calls at the same time. So occasionally, if you have to be calling in and you don't get an answer, just give us a few minutes and call us back. Because we're usually taking care of other customers, so we work as best we can with what we have. But right now we're staffed, I think, pretty good.
August was National Shooting Sports Month, and of course, George, it showed that you had a lot of the G2C's Tauruses in stock. How is that status right now?
I think we still have the last I saw. I'm not in there today. I think there was one of those left. We had a good turnout a couple weeks ago for our shooting month that we were kind of celebrating the opening of that. And ATF was out, and we had some food being served out in the parking lot with one of the barbecue trucks and ice cream trucks, and but a decent. Even though it started out raining, we recovered and had a kind of a decent afternoon of that. But the rain kind of squashed the morning hours at opening that. But good, glad for all the folks that were able to come out and pay us a visit.
I guess people are going to ask you that. They saw the barbecue people out there. Are they going to be out there on a regular basis?
No, I was just there for that that particular event. But they had good food, I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like it's making me want to go there now, but they're not there. Well, there's all types of different firearms and 9mm in stock, and that seems to be very popular too.
Well, yeah, they are. That's probably the majority of what most of the folks come in with, what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. So we try to stay up on that. It's been tough getting what we have wanted, in stock. Everyone is still slow as far as manufacturers getting product out, and sometimes we just have to take what's available versus really what we want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's really something for everyone there. And how is ordering supplies right now, George, as far as ammo and just guns in general?
It's still hit and miss. But again, if someone wants to order something, they're starting to get a little more than what they had 2 months ago or 3 months ago. So it's kind of be patient. They'll eventually get everything back. Probably to where it was. So that's our hope anyway. But it's for something that you want that may be quite popular firearm. That may be a bit of a wait where beforehand you could if it was we would typically have it in stock, if not in the store, in the warehouse. But it's still kind of hit and miss. So everyone still have to have their patience at a right out there to where they can just work with us, and as soon as we can get something in for them, we certainly will. But just patience is the key.
Very good, very good. So, George, once again, you're open Monday through Saturday. There's something for everyone at the Marksman. Yeah, Google the Marksman. The phone number is 757-872-4130. Great staff, open Monday through Saturday. Something for everyone, and you're exactly right. There's something for everyone right there on social media. George, all the best to you and your family, and we look forward to talking to you in September.
All right, Greg, you take care.
Thank you.
Be safe.
Thank you. George McClain right there from the Marksman. Sports Scene will continue after these messages. I want to thank our guests today, Kraig Cole, Gina Ippolito, and George McClain. Also want to thank Colleen at Kraig Bick on Twitter, at Kraig Bick on YouTube. Thanks for listening to Sports Scene, our monthly interview show right here on WPMH. I'm Greg Bicouvaris. We'll talk to you soon.